just to introduce you and folks that come to this programming later to the beginning of the JourneyPerson program for 2022. So NOFA-New Jersey has provided organic growers and advocates a community to call our own for over 30 years. Building on the reality that the dominant forces in agriculture have not really invested in organic practices or research, NOFA has survived and has supported new farmers through educational programming, farm tours, and community gatherings. Because the farmers that provide opportunities for apprentices and programs like what Renata was talking about, providing opportunities for people who are interested in getting into agriculture, and committed workers. So let's take a step back. Because the farmers that provide opportunities for apprentices and committed workers are responsible for the organic farmers that we see today, combined with the fact that the new farmers believe in themselves and their potential to produce crops and sustain an exciting way of life, NOFA-New Jersey is committing ourselves to improve and further develop our JourneyPerson program. Today, I'll introduce our JourneyPersons of 2022 and the developments in our program to encourage you to be active in your support of our organic future. Okay, bear with me. Oh boy. So we'll start at NOFA-NJ.org, which is a resource that NOFA-New Jersey maintains for our community to promote education, to promote outreach, and to promote connection within the community. You guys can see my screen all right? Okay. So on NOFA-NJ.org, under programs, you'll see the JourneyPerson program. You link to that page, and on that page is all the information you would need to know about how to apply and how to learn more about what the program is about. But most importantly, in my mind, is the listing of the JourneyPersons themselves. So we always have this problem with the little win. Okay, here. We're really excited this year. We've got 4 JourneyPersons identified, and so the process has started. The first step in the JourneyPerson program is we do outreach and we try to solicit applications. The applicants have to meet some criteria. So the criteria include having access to land where they can farm. They need to have some experience in growing crops. They need to have a farm plan. Those are really the biggest ones. We need a commitment to organic practices. It doesn't mean that you have to be certified organic, but you do have to have an understanding of what it would take to be certified organic, because basically the organic certification defines and describes how to be organic, and it's not anything other than basically explaining the principles of building and maintaining healthy soil, being respectful of ecology, and that, a lot of people think about not being able to do this or that, but really it's about how do we foster a living, vigorous, healthy environment such that the products that we can raise are going to be healthy and beneficial for us and our community. So I'm just going to scroll down the window here a little bit. So we've got growing folks is Nefera and Hasire are taking on this, and these guys are a very interesting story. Just getting to know them myself. They are living in Newark, New Jersey right now, and their experience with gardening, as far as I can tell so far, is working in community gardens in Newark. So basically being part of a community that's identified that, an abandoned lot in their neighborhood has real value. And that value is dramatically increased by people who care, investing themselves and their time in improving the site. And not only improving the site, but then producing products and experiences for their neighbors. And so these guys, they've got a couple growing boxes in a small community garden in an urban environment, and they wanted to do more. So they were able to connect with the Food Shed Alliance and access land. I think they're working with an acre in Sussex County. And we're going to take we'll zoom in from above after we look at the other candidates to see where their site is. Meg Myers from Cattail Hollow Farm, I was able to meet with and do sort of an introductory visit this past week. And so we'll do a zoom in on where her site is and talk a little bit about what some of the things I learned from her. Pradeep Thapa has made the same connection as the growing folks with the Food Shed Alliance and has secured, I think Pradeep's working with about 10 acres. And today we're going to go into some more detail about his operation and the beginning of the mentorship that we have started with him. And last but not least, Kyle Smith is also a very exciting candidate or journey person for 2022. He's located in just outside of Williamstown in South Jersey, Atlantic. Or let's see, Devin, what county? Do you know what that county is?
Maybe Salem County, Williamstown. It's off of Route 40, right by Cowtown.
So we've got our candidates, our journey persons this year are clustered in Sussex County up in North Jersey. And also we've got Kyle representing for South Jersey. And we're real excited to get to know everybody better. And what we're going to do with the Journey Person program is basically we're trying to figure out how to make it as effective as possible. And that seems like there's a couple things here. So the challenge is that a new farm can kind of get lost in the noise. And our job as an organization that advocates for organic farmers is to hold up examples of our farmers, especially new farmers getting into the business, to celebrate them, to teach the community about what they're going through, and to provide them resources. So the best way to provide effective resources is to get to know the candidates, to get to know the farmers. And so the Journey Person program is really based on the concept of mentoring. So the term mentoring is getting a lot of use these days. A lot of people are signing on and saying, hey, we're going to provide this mentoring and we do that mentoring. And that's great because that's how organic farmers have become established. That's how typically we get our training, because the resources are not typically found at universities or, even from departments of agriculture. So what happens is the organic farmers themselves become responsible for training the next generation of farmers. And NOFA New Jersey has been committed to this process for our whole, existence of how do you support farmers with the resources to be able to train the next generation. So it's really grassroots work. And what NOFA New Jersey is trying to do with our Journey Person program is to figure out how to focus on the best qualities of that grassroots work. And the first step really is to get to know the farmer, get to know the farmer, understand their motivation, and try to see what they're doing so that we can see what is, something that we can really support, and what are the potential limitations so that we can understand what resources they might benefit from. One of the hardest things in New Jersey is to get access to land. So a JourneyPerson has established, access to land. And now the next question is, how do you get the information you need in a timely manner? In a lot of cases, how do you get the capital you need to be able to buy the supplies you need? So that's really kind of the big challenge that we have going forward. But we have to start at the beginning, and the beginning is to get to know the farmer. So the proposal that I'm making for the NOFA-New Jersey JourneyPerson program is that we're going to extend the timing a little bit. In the past, we had sort of a rush to try to identify the mentor for the farmer. And of course, it's so funny, these things you click around and then this guy is blocking my picture. So we need to visit the farm, we need to talk to the farmer, and that's really the first step. And once we start doing that, then we have a much better idea of how to link them up with the right mentor. What I'm hoping is that folks will see these JourneyPersons and they'll be inspired to say, maybe I would be a good mentor for this person, or maybe I know someone else who would be a good mentor. So today, we're just going to quickly go through Kyle, Growing Folks, and Cattail Hollow Farm. And then we're going to end up with, I'm going to give you sort of a breakdown serving as an initial mentor outreach to Pradeep, just to stimulate our discussion. And then I'll stop talking at you. So bear with me while I click through things here a little bit. So going back to the JourneyPerson program, the thing that NOFA New Jersey is going to do is we're going to present that farmer. We're going to present an active link to whatever social media they use as the best way to sort of, we're not trying to tell you what they're doing. We want them to be able to tell you what they're doing. So Kyle has got a business. He's a veteran, and he's been growing food for about 5 years. I think he's got a lot. Where he so we're going south. So this is just outside of Williamstown, and so it looks like probably sort of long lots built off the road. And I think he has about 5 acres of his own, and then he's leasing land next door, and he also has access from other people he knows to get more land. And so our job as mentor, providing a mentor for Kyle will be really to understand what he's already doing, because he's already established his proficiency in growing crops, raising livestock, processing the livestock, getting it to market. So all that stuff is stuff that we need to catch up on. And then once we understand that, where he's come from and what his experiences are, then we'll be in a better place to offer resources and support. So the mentoring is always going to be about connecting with the JourneyPerson, trying to understand them, having discussions with them. then the degree that we can answer their questions is going to be a function of, it's going to be different in every situation. What we'd like to do is keep the discussion going and keep the experiences presented to our community, and use that process of presenting their story as the origin for developing our resources. All right. So as we tell the story, as we learn more about these journey persons, you're going to see the resources that NOFA New Jersey provides expand and be more relevant to the daily questions of our current farmers. And this is going to happen every year. And really where we're at right now is we want to extend the process where we get to know our journey persons before we really assign them the right mentor. And then there'll be about a year period where the mentor is working with the journey person in a more personal and private way, going through their journey. So there's Kyle. So let's jump to Meg. So now we're going back north again, up into Sussex County. Meg is an example of a new farm owner. So she has experience working on other folks' farms for many years, and I guess it was even just this past year, purchased, I think it's around 10 acres, right on Route 94 in Lafayette, New Jersey. And basically she's at the stage where she has to develop her farm plan. And she's very aware of the fact that her farm plan is going to be a function of what her land will provide, what land opportunities will provide, plus her access to markets. But where she's at right now is very much in the beginning. So like the last journey person, Kyle, has already established for 5 years what he's doing and how he's doing it. So his experience and the mentor that he needs is probably going to be a lot different than the mentor that Meg is going to need. And that was why I was excited to see Johan on the call, because Johan and his wife Lindsay provide consulting in permaculture type design, which is a little different than traditional crop ecology or crop production, which is sort of looking at how do you get the biggest space that's the most square and flattest, and you just apply one sort of concept of management. Permaculture is really based much more on looking at what are the landscape resources and how can you work with natural systems and the local ecology to build on natural strengths, such that you're not fighting all the time, you're actually working with. There's a couple interesting features of Meg's place. And so I visited her, and I don't have pictures to share yet, but basically you've got a classic scenario. You've got the farm, you've got a farmhouse, you've got a barn, they've got some chicken coops, they've got a greenhouse and a little farm stand area. So the vision is to develop a small scale production whereby she can serve a local community with a pretty low input farm stand, self-service in a lot of ways, where people will come in and they'll be able to help themselves to some vegetables. She's gonna, the sort of mode areas that you can see are the most obvious areas for her to invest in her crop production. And right now she's got this area where my little cursor is moving around. She's got that tarped to kill the grass. And then she's going to be trying to develop some no-till production methods to produce annual crops to sustain her market, to yield enough income to get her farmland assessment, to so that she can afford to live in this space. She's got a flock of chickens and good experience raising chickens. So she plans to expand the pasture for that. She's also got plans to take advantage of this area to the northeast, which is not really that developed agriculturally, but might be well suited to rotational grazing plans. And back to Johan and his experience and the hope to connect Meg with some specialized guidance here. This area right here is a sort of a natural pond, and a lot of the land around here is pretty wet, kind of like seeping with water. So that's a real challenge for a farmer. You know, how do you make use of that? What benefit is that? And that's, I think, going to be a big part of Meg's development as she goes forward, is sort of really getting to know this land that she and her husband have really committed their lives to, you know, by buying it and committing their vision to it, figuring out how to make that work for them. She's got a couple of other issues. There's a highway here that the land drains off onto her, the slope drains off onto her land. So, you know, that's a thing that she's going to have to deal with. There's a major creek down here, a lot of wetlands down here. So we were talking about, you know, what kind of resources will be available to her to be able to solve problems, invest in proper practices. A lot to consider and a lot to pursue. Let's see. All right, so we'll go to growing folks. So Hassayar and Nefera, I just have met them once and have been having fun communicating with them. And I'm looking forward to going and spending the day with them on Sunday because they're working on getting this greenhouse established. Their vision is to be self-sufficient in growing their own products, you know, their own food, so that they can maintain their health and have control over what's coming into their life. They also have an equal, real commitment to sharing, you know, their experiences and also bringing other people into the world of agriculture and gardening. And so they've got a lot of excitement behind their vision, and our job as a mentor and as a as an advocate for them is to really help understand. First, we have to start the process of just understanding who they are, where they're coming from, and what they want to do. And from that point, if we can be supportive and encouraging, then there's every reason to believe that they'll just benefit from that support and they'll be stronger for it. Let's take a look at where they're located. Not far from Meg is the Foodshed Alliance Sage Land, Sustainable Ag Growers Association. I'm not sure what SAGE stands for. But what they've done, so basically this is an example where a nonprofit that cares about farmers, trying to figure out how to get farmers access to land, has bought a large parcel and then is taking responsibility for dividing up that large parcel to make it available in smaller lots at an affordable rate for new farmers to get established. So this area where my cursor is moving here, I think it's about an acre, and I think this is the land that Hassayar and Nefera are going to be developing, and it's really just raw land right now. And they have to drive from Newark, come come out here to the country and, climb out of their car and get going, get farming. And then, the challenge is going to be for them that then they're going to get into their car and they're going to drive back to Newark, and, who's going to water the plants and take care of the fence. So they've got a real challenge. And that challenge is important for us to understand and to be aware of, because it's a challenge that many, many, many people in New Jersey could take on. There's a lot of land that's not really being well tended in New Jersey that exists in farmland. And there's a lot of people who'd like to access it, but they don't have a way. And so if we care about agriculture, if we care about urban people being able to grow their own food, then, it is important for us to pay attention to how this is going to work. It's important for us to figure out how to support people where they are, doing what they want to do. And so that's why, it's a real priority for us to pay attention to these guys. The other property, and so we'll go into a little bit more detail and talk a little bit more about the mentoring process now, focused on Pradeep. So Pradeep and his wife have this business called USA Agro. Pradeep is originally from Nepal, and as far as I can tell, has a bunch of family involved in agriculture in Nepal, and has most of his experience in agriculture from there. Although he's a classic example of a person in mid-career or midlife, say, who has changed career. I think he was in tech, and he, just became really inspired about food, about producing his own food, about organic food. And he was looking at the food that he cared about, and he was saying, this food is being imported from Australia. Why aren't we growing this food here where I live? And so that's his inspiration. And that's the kind of inspiration that NOFA New Jersey and organic farmers throughout our history have been excited about and been invested in trying to figure out how can we support these people. So the JourneyPerson program is a perfect example of how we can support the vision of an individual farmer who may not have the resources or the experience in and of themselves to be able to be successful, but all they really need is support from their community and encouragement to be successful. So I'm just going to share with you my visit to Pradeep's operation. All right, so to take a step, so myself personally, I've got a fair amount of experience in mentoring. I ran a training program on our organic farm for 10 years. And the interest that I've had in this time is supporting people who want to get into farming, because that's what we need. We are losing farmers. We're always having a hard time figuring out where the next generation of farmers are coming from. And so it really needs to be a top priority to figure out how to support new farmers. So, like the AgriHood program is so exciting, and to hear that there's so many people interested in being a part of it, and then to know that there's this infrastructure of farms that also care, and so they're making their farms available for these students and young people to come and visit and gain experiences. That's the start. So, somebody wants to be somebody wants an experience, we need to be able to provide that experience. And NOFA New Jersey does that with our farm tours. It's a great way to get connected to agriculture and to learn more. So I encourage you to go to the nofanewjersey.org website and look for farm tours. Right from the homepage, there's going to be quick links to our going to our calendar is a good way to find out what's coming up. And then you get to the point of, all right, well, I'm going. I've got my access to land. I've got my farm plan. I think I'd be a good journey person. I'm going to apply to the JourneyPerson program. And then once you're accepted as a journey person, then the next step is to get that mentoring going on. So the mentoring starts, as I've said before, with getting to know the farmer and seeing what they're doing. And there's no better way than just spending time with the farmer on their site. The objective of the mentor is not to provide critical assessment. It's not to find the problems and say, hey, this is what we're going to solve. It's all about being there so the farmer can speak and be heard. Because if the farmer has somebody listening to them, then they're able to develop their thinking and grow in their own way and in their own process. So the mentor's job is to hear the farmer and to offer a supportive listening environment. All right, so that's what we're looking for at NOFA New Jersey right now. We're looking for people who are interested in supporting farmers by being supportive listeners. And then a mentor is going to also have the responsibility of communicating to the organization that provides the background support. So the mentors are going to need to meet at least monthly to share their stories from meeting with their journey persons, such that we can then process that into what is the next educational programming we need to provide, what are the specific resources. And one of the things that I saw meeting with Pradeep is there's huge potential for us to identify projects that might be funded, by crowdsourcing. So that's a piece of the program that we're going to really be focused on as we go forward. So, Pradeep's vision is to produce goat meat. He also has an area designated for vegetable production, and he's got a flock of eggs, or a flock of layers, so that he can have a sort of a steady cash stream from eggs. So those are his objectives. And then we have to take a look at, how you're going to get there. So he's got the 10 acres of land. He's established a little farm stand, so he's got a marketing outlet. And then when I first pulled up to meet Pradeep at his site, one of the first things he said to me was, yeah, I'm known as the pallet guy. And it's pretty clear why that's the case. And right away, so I've been farming and I've got a property for over 25 years. One of the hardest things for me when I got started was all the rules and regulations that I had to fit within. So I wanted to build a structure on my farm. And so I went, by that point, I had learned about getting a construction permit and all that kind of stuff. So I went to get the permit and they said, well, no, you can't do that. Or you have to do this, that, and the other thing. So when I first met Pradeep here, I was like, oh, wow, I bet he doesn't have a permit for any of that. And that may or may not be the case, but the fact of the matter is a small farmer has to work with what they have. They have their vision of what they need. They have the reality of what they have access to, and then they have to go for it. And the cool thing about the space that he's at with the Food Shed Alliance is that they, as an organization, are representing what they're doing to the community in a way that is providing a safe environment for these farmers to get started. And the task that we have as an organization to support these farmers is to figure out, how do we help them move through the growth process to a place where they're really stable and really successful for the long term. So what matters is their inspiration. What matters is their vision. And Pradeep is just so friendly and open and welcoming, very motivated to make this work. And pallets are his means to move forward, to create some secure space for his flocks. He's got the chicken coop. He's looking at, how do I make this work? I need a place for my chickens, but he doesn't have a ton of money to be able to buy brooder boxes or anything like that. So he's looking at the resources that he can access and figuring out how to make that work. We talked about the bedding. He's very interested in maintaining a clean environment for his flock. And so he's talking about a deep litter system, where as the bedding gets soiled, he just adds fresh bedding on top. And once or twice a year, we'll clean out the whole thing, compost that material, and start fresh. His big vision is with the goats. He's got I think he has, he's expecting, so let's see, these are his mother goats. I think he was saying they're all pregnant, so that they'll be having baby goats. Sorry for my lame terminology. And then those baby goats will be what he sells as a product once they're ready. But that means that year round, he needs to maintain a flock of mothers and a boar goat. And his vision is to expand that significantly. So say he's got 8 mother goats now, he wants to have like 25 mother goats. And then, even more. And I don't know much about goats, so I wasn't really able to give him any support, other than that really where we're at in the process is just, again, getting to know who he is and what he's doing and how he's doing it. That's his guy goat. So this is looking back across the field at where his flocks are housed, and the vision that he has, very, very integral to organic management practices, is to use rotational grazing. So the thing that we're really looking for a mentor with Pradeep is somebody that has experience with rotational grazing of goat flocks. The chickens, the vision that he has for the chickens is that the chickens will be able to stroll around kind of wherever they want to go within the grazing system, but the goats will be much more strictly regulated. The biggest challenge that he's got right now is the fencing. So the cost of the fencing is very real. And he's made good connections with NRCS, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, and they've explained to him kind of what's available to him. But it's one of those things where, if we can help Pradeep define sort of his plans and exactly how many linear feet of fencing he needs, then we'll be able to figure out, maybe there's a certain amount of fencing that we can raise money for him to help him buy so that he can get this set up and going. And that's all going to be a part of that's all part of the process of learning about the farmer, helping them identify what their limitations are, and then working the system to try to help them overcome those challenges. Behind Pradeep is the, I think about maybe 2 acres of garden area that he's hoping to grow, annual crops on. He was part of a sunflower event, a local event this past year, which was, intended to bring out tourists and people just interested in visiting the farm and spending quality time among flowers. This is getting into the fencing issue, the technical, issues. Like Pradeep's got some visions for how to move forward. He's very good at using the limited resources that he has, and then to work on developing a system. And what we need to do is just be able to understand what he's doing and see how we can help. The vision here is that the goat, he has some access to woodland, so there's the potential for having the goats do some browsing. I was suggesting maybe, if the pasture needed a break or something like that, you could put the goats in the woods for a short period of time, run them through. All of this is stuff that just needs experience to see what works and what doesn't work and adjust. So I think that I have probably put most of you to sleep, but I think I've presented our journey persons as they are today. And I just want to make the pitch again that folks go to NOFA-NJ.org to learn more about the programs that we offer, to check out the Journey Person page so you can see the Journey Persons, and click on their resources to learn more about them. The calendar, tours and workshops. This is how you can easily see what's going on and find what the schedule is so you can go see us at the next workshop. All right, so I think what we want to do is just open it up for questions and discussion and go from there. So if you have any thoughts or questions, please feel free to just sing out.
That was a great presentation. Just to follow up, I think one of the most important parts of the Journey Person program is just the community. Several trips down South Jersey and into the deep north. The one piece of feedback we get from some of the farmers is it's very isolating. There's not a huge organic community, especially down in South Jersey. I was there this past weekend and had several community members pass our table and go, organic, that's not for me, so just having a sense of community to support these journey people as they're working from sun up to sundown is so huge. And the more we can connect our community, the more likes even on their Instagram page. I'm not the biggest fan of social media, but just having that feeling of support from the NOFA New Jersey community is huge. So I would just piggyback off of what you were saying, Mike, and if everyone can share their story, click like on every post they make, it would go a long way to really empowering them to follow through with their mission and succeed.
Oh, just Renata, how are we finding people for the program? It's really, basically it's a function of just outreach. So we have to educate people about the program even exists. And then we also, as we meet people in our tours and during our programming, we might identify, oh, this is a new farmer that, has made the connection. They found NOFA and they're looking for help. They're looking for connection. So we then talk to them to tell them about the program and encourage them to, apply. The hope is that we can have many more journey persons every year, but really we're at the point where we need to raise the funds to be able to support that development. And there's everything to say that it's a good time to raise those funds. This New Jersey legislature is talking about bills for providing mentoring. We're going to talk to Senator Dancer today about a organic advisory group, which, it's all about getting into the system to get a piece of the pie, to be sure that it goes to the right places. And the more we're talking about it, the more we talk about these journey persons, the more we share their stories, the more people will learn about the program. Cory Booker has been an advocate for for agriculture and for getting back into agriculture and for connecting people who have traditionally been sort of not gotten much support, even been excluded. How do we reach those populations and get them reconnected and get them fired up and give them the support?
Can I make one comment? I don't know. I don't know how to raise my hands, so I'm just jumping in.
Oh, go ahead, please sing out. That's what I said.
I was encouraged by the former owner. I'm only on a farm 6 weeks, and the former owner is still occupying the house. So she's been advising me on joining NOFA and a few other things. And she misinterpreted the Journeyman program, because I had Meg visit my farm yesterday in the hopes that she would be my mentor. Whereas according to the program you just laid out, she's looking for a mentor. So I have a problem of a lot of people. I mean, I just bought a farm with a lot of land and I don't know what to do with it. So I'm more than willing to open it up to people in urban areas who want to come out to the farm on a weekend and have a place to grow stuff. I'm committed to growing the healthiest, cleanest food that I'm going to serve to my grandkids. If I have extras, I'll sell them to other people. But that's my target market, just the cleanest possible stuff for the little kids. But I need a mentor. I should be in the program.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what you're presenting and sharing with us is significant, because you represent a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there who have access to resources, who have a care for the community. They have a care for producing valuable products. And the thing that's been the disconnect has been that, we ask ourselves, why has this not been more successful? Why do we have so much disconnect from our production systems? And, we can't answer that right now. We can't even really go into it. But I think the way forward is the recognition that we want support. So your statement that you would like a mentor is really the first step of your journey. It's like you've made the commitment to the land. You have a vision for being able to be productive. And then the next question is, how do I get support? And that's what NOFA New Jersey is trying to develop. And there's other resources too that are available. But the JourneyPerson program is a great place to start. It's a great place to get connected. And John, I totally encourage you to to pursue it. And we probably won't be able to link you in this year, but maybe next year. And there's nothing to say that you can't get that support by just participating in the programming that we offer. So going to, keeping an eye on the calendar for looking for a farm tour that you can attend, and introducing yourself to other farmers, talking to the staff from NOFA New Jersey. And we can keep this vision of we can support you in that.
I don't even know how to plant the garden. I heard Renata talk about going someplace to put a garden in, and I said, that's what I need. Somebody to come and just tell me like where I should put the garden. And I'd like to keep expanding it through the years.
One of the things that NOFA New Jersey is really investing in is, I'm sorry, Renata, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks. Just listening to this, this is so just right up the alley of what the Agri-Hood is trying to do. We're in a different, kind of in a different section of it. But, you know, I listened to all the stories. It's really intriguing and encouraging. One of the things that you and I had talked about when I met you back in November was the future of farming. And I never really forgot that conversation and kind of carried it with me as we began this Agri-Hood program. I noticed from the story that most of the people in that story was from an underrepresented group, people of color. Now, whether that's by design, I don't know, but I know that is something that I think that NOFA is trying to do. And when I ponder the question, along with the rest of you, of where is the next generation of farmers coming from? And I'm saying they're coming from places that maybe traditionally most people haven't really looked at because of systemic disenfranchisement from the land. But I'm not going to go over there. I'm just going to say all that to say we've got such an opportunity to start building that, building future farmers for your journeyman program, and also building assistance to that. One of the things that I see is one of the things that you've pointed out is, where is your support staff? There's not just farm hands rolling around looking for work these days. And I think one of the things we need to do is we need to focus on people who want to know about it and want to support it, who may not necessarily want to be able to own their own land, but certainly be a part of that. And there is so much interest in learning about this with some of the young people, that we're working with. I think that that's such a great place to start. And I'm thinking about John's. I mean, John, I know that you're kind of looking at your land like, oh my goodness, like, what do I do with all this? And like an organization like mine would love to work with find a niche with NOFA to support and do kind of a twofold thing. Teach these people who want to know what farming is, why it's important, instructing on the kind of like intro level, and at the same time help John turn his land over, help him plant, help him get started. There's such a way. There's so many great ways that I'm just going through my mind to do this that are going to help support your farmers, which it seems so many of them need at this juncture. It's like, take advantage of an internship program that is willing to do that, develop a program with youth or other civic organizations, because that's going to create that community that you've talked about. I don't, you were saying that somebody felt so isolated. And I'm like, you want to get people involved more than just coming by and buying some tomatoes from you. And I think programs like this to help support these farmers is just a boon to your journeyman program. Not only are we going to walk with you, but we're going to try and get you some help to get started.
And Renata, thank you. I think that's really probably a great place to wrap up today. We are doing this a monthly organic open house the last Wednesday of every month. And I encourage you guys to come back, because this is where we're going to be focusing on this topic. And, and the journey persons and the mentoring process, as well as the, many other opportunities within NOFA New Jersey to participate in programming. And I definitely encourage everybody to check out the Agri-Hood program, because it's very exciting.